Something strange is happening in Cleveland, and it's bigger than a losing streak. It's bigger than a frustrated fan base. Because when the price of a ticket to an NFL game drops lower than the cost of a fast food meal, it's not just a sign of disappointment, it's a warning. A warning that something inside the Browns organization is breaking far beyond what anyone on the outside can see. Over the past few weeks, Browns home game tickets, once selling for tens or even hundreds of dollars, have collapsed to single digits. $5, $6, cheaper than parking, cheaper than a team hat. And every time the fans speak out, every time someone posts screenshots of those shockingly low prices, one name keeps popping up: Shedeur Sanders. Because according to fans, analysts, and even a few insiders whispering online, this isn't just about losing games. This is about decisions, favoritism, and a quarterback room that's quietly turning into the center of the entire franchise's chaos. On one side, there's the highly paid veteran starter who hasn't delivered. On the other, the rookie everyone wants to see, who's shown flashes in practice, earned public praise from the head coach, but still hasn't been given a real shot. And that's where the frustration explodes. Fans think the team is refusing to make the one move that can spark excitement again. Players have hinted at tension. Reports claim the locker room isn't as united as the organization wants people to believe. But if the Browns don't make a change soon, this ticket price collapse might be the start of something even worse. The Cleveland Browns are facing a situation no NFL franchise ever wants to see: a total collapse of their ticket market. What began as a gradual dip in prices has now spiraled into a full-blown crisis. One so severe that it's drawing national attention. Seats that once sold for $50, $75, even over $100 earlier in the season are now listed for as low as $1 on major resale platforms. $1, less than a vending machine snack, less than a bus fare. And fans aren't just noticing, they're laughing, memeing, and boycotting. This isn't your typical late-season slump where fans lose a bit of enthusiasm. This is a mass exodus, a financial meltdown signaling a deeper, more alarming issue inside the organization. For weeks, analysts have highlighted how ticket sales were supposed to be one of the Browns' most reliable revenue streams in a rebuilding year. Instead, that revenue has cratered. Stadium sections that should be packed with roaring fans now look like practice scrimmages, with scattered dots of orange lost in seas of empty seats. So what triggered this historic collapse? It all circles back to one name: Shedeur Sanders. Fans came into the season buzzing with excitement, expecting the electrifying young quarterback to take meaningful snaps. Instead, week after week, he has been kept on the sidelines while Dillon Gabriel continues to start despite widespread criticism and repeated struggles. The decision has enraged the fan base to the point where boycotts had become the norm rather than the exception. As the organization continues pushing out optimistic soundbites and vague explanations, the fans aren't buying it. They believe the only thing that will restore energy and ticket value is finally giving Shedeur Sanders a real shot. Until then, many are choosing to stay home, tanking the market even further. This ticket implosion isn't just embarrassing, it's a loud, public message. The fans feel ignored, the stadium is emptying. And unless something changes fast, the Browns may soon find themselves dealing with more than just cheap tickets. They may be staring down a full-scale revolt. As the ticket market collapses around the Cleveland Browns, the reaction from fans has shifted. Quarterback to take meaningful snaps. Instead, week after week, he has been kept on the sidelines, while Dillon Gabriel continues to start, despite widespread criticism and repeated struggles. The decision has enraged the fan base, to the point where boycotts have become the norm rather than the exception. As the organization continues pushing out optimistic soundbites and vague explanations, the fans aren't buying it. They believe the only thing that will restore energy and ticket value is finally giving Shedeur Sanders a real shot. Until then, many are choosing to stay home, tanking the market even further. This ticket implosion isn't just embarrassing, it's a loud public message. The fans feel ignored. The stadium is emptying. And unless something changes fast, the Browns may soon find themselves dealing with more than just cheap tickets. They may be staring down a full-scale revolt. As the ticket market collapses around the Cleveland Browns, the reaction from fans has shifted. From frustration to fury, what began as scattered complaints online has now erupted into a full-scale boycott movement. One that grows stronger with every game Shedeur Sanders is left standing on the sidelines. Browns fans, once known for their loyalty through decades of ups and downs, have finally reached their breaking point. For weeks, supporters have watched Dillon Gabriel struggle while the coaching staff continues defending the same decisions that keep producing the same disappointing results. The refusal to even try Shedeur Sanders has become the symbol of everything fans believe is wrong with the organization. Stubbornness, mismanagement, and a refusal to listen. So when ticket prices began falling, fans realized the power they had. The empty seats weren't just a coincidence. They were a message. Influential voices across Cleveland have amplified that message. Insider Garrett Bush has openly urged fans to stop attending games, calling the team's treatment of Shedeur unfair and the weekly narrative's manipulation. His comments struck a nerve. Suddenly, thousands of fans started canceling tickets, flooding social media with screenshots, and encouraging others to follow. Even die-hard supporters like Mace, people who rarely miss a game, have joined the protest, promising not to return to the stadium until Shedeur takes the field. The movement isn't just driven by anger, it's driven by belief. Fans genuinely think Shedeur Sanders represents hope, excitement, and the spark this team desperately needs. The Browns' continued refusal to play him feels, to many, like the organization is choosing pride over progress. The boycott has become impossible for the front office to ignore. Sections of the stadium that should be packed with noise now sit silent. Broadcast angles avoid showing empty rows. Headlines across social media mock the franchise as ticket prices drop lower each week. The fans have drawn their line. No Shedeur, no support. The weekly narrative's manipulation? His comments struck a nerve. Suddenly, thousands of fans started canceling tickets, flooding social media with screenshots, and encouraging others to follow. Even die-hard supporters like Mace, people who rarely miss a game, have joined the protest, promising not to return to the stadium until Shedeur takes the field. The movement isn't just driven by anger, it's driven by belief. Fans genuinely think Shedeur Sanders represents hope, excitement, and the spark this team desperately needs. The Browns' continued refusal to play him feels to many like the organization is choosing pride over progress. The boycott has become impossible for the front office to ignore. Sections of the stadium that should be packed with noise now sit silent. Broadcast angles avoid showing empty rows. Headlines across social media mock the franchise as ticket prices drop lower each week. The fans have drawn their line. No Shedeur, no support. And with every game that passes, that stance only grows stronger. The heart of the Browns' crisis can be summed up in one question. Why is Shedeur Sanders still not playing? To outsiders, it makes no sense. Inside the organization, it's becoming a full-blown dilemma, one that's dividing fans, analysts, and even the locker room. Every week, reports surface praising Shedeur's accuracy, poise, and playmaking ability. Insiders like Mary Kay Cabot insist the rookie has shown enough in practice to deserve meaningful snaps. She's even hinted that the coaching staff is considering using him situationally, especially with the Ravens' defense playing at an elite level. But despite all of this, the Browns continue rolling with Dillon Gabriel. And that's where the frustration explodes. Gabriel's recent performances, especially his struggles against the Jets, have only intensified the pressure on head coach Kevin Stefanski. Analysts are calling the situation delusional. LeSean McCoy publicly questioned how Stefanski can watch film and still decide to start Gabriel without at least testing the rookie. James Jones took it a step further, accusing Stefanski of sabotaging the team's future by refusing to put Shedeur on the field, even in blowout situations where development should be the priority. But the controversy doesn't stop with football decisions. Jones suggested something deeper, something personal. According to him, Stefanski behaves as if he doesn't like Shedeur, pointing out that the quarterback never asked to be drafted and did nothing to deserve this treatment. That accusation struck a nerve across the fanbase. Suddenly, this wasn't just about performance. It became a story of respect, fairness, and possibly even ego. Meanwhile, the front office is trapped in the middle. They know ticket sales are tanking. They know fans are demanding change. They know playing Shedeur could instantly flip the narrative. But making that move means admitting they mishandled the situation from the start. So the Browns are stuck in a painful standoff. A rookie with star potential ready to ignite the franchise. A veteran starter struggling to keep his job. A coach determined to stick with his plan. And a fan base refusing to stay silent. The Sanders dilemma isn't just a quarterback issue anymore. It's the center of the Browns' entire identity crisis. As the Browns' season spirals, one figure is being dragged deeper into the storm than anyone else: head coach Kevin Stefanski. What started as routine criticism has now exploded into a full-scale revolt, with analysts, insiders, and even star players calling out the coach's decisions. And at the center of it all is his unwavering refusal to give Shedeur Sanders a shot. Week after week, Stefanski insists the team is focused on development. But critics aren't buying that line anymore. LeSean McCoy flat out blasted him, saying that anyone ... The game tape can see Dillon Gabriel isn't the answer, especially against top-tier defenses like the Ravens. You want to get fired? McCoy said, warning Stefanski that sticking with Gabriel could be the final mistake that seals his fate. James Jones echoed the same frustration, but he pushed even deeper, questioning Stefanski's motives altogether. If development was the priority, why wasn't Shedeur getting snaps during blowouts? Why keep rolling with a struggling quarterback while the fan base collapses into protest mode? Jones suggested something far more personal, that Stefanski might simply not like Shedeur Sanders. And whether true or not, the idea spread like wildfire among fans already furious at the franchise. Inside the locker room, the tension is equally explosive. Myles Garrett, the face of the team, didn't hold back after the latest loss. His body language, tone, and blunt frustration told the entire story. He's tired of excuses, tired of the direction, and tired of watching the season disintegrate. Garrett made it clear he isn't shielding Stefanski anymore. His very public confrontation shows just how deep the cracks have become. Now, every decision Stefanski makes feels magnified. Every snap Gabriel takes adds pressure. Every benching of Shedeur fuels anger. The coach isn't just managing a football team anymore. He's fighting for control of a fractured organization. And with fans boycotting, analysts turning on him, and players losing faith, the question becomes unavoidable. How much longer can Stefanski hold on before this entire situation collapses on top of him? Inside the Browns locker room, the tension has reached a point that can't be hidden anymore. What used to be a united front has started to crack, revealing frustration, confusion, and a growing sense that the organization is drifting without direction. And at the heart of that, unraveling, is the quarterback controversy that simply refuses to go away. Players may not always speak publicly, But body language doesn't lie, and no one exposed the rising frustration more clearly than Myles Garrett. After the recent loss, he didn't sugarcoat a thing. His expression, tone, and barely contained irritation said everything fans already feared. The locker room is reaching its breaking point. Garrett admitted he's done watching the season collapse while the same mistakes get repeated. And he made it clear that sometimes the only way to send a message is by letting that frustration spill out. But Garrett isn't alone. Behind the scenes, more players are reportedly questioning the direction of the team. Analysts close to the organization say the mood has shifted from concern to open disbelief. Many can't understand why the staff keeps insisting on Dillon Gabriel despite weeks of underperforming. Others wonder why Shedeur Sanders, who teammates have. Unraveling is the quarterback controversy that simply refuses to go away. Players may not always speak publicly, but body language doesn't lie. And no one exposed the rising frustration more clearly than Myles Garrett. After the recent loss, he didn't sugarcoat a thing. His expression, tone, and barely contained irritation said everything fans already feared. The locker room is reaching its breaking point. Garrett admitted he's done watching the season collapse while the same mistakes get repeated. And he made it clear that sometimes the only way to send a message is by letting that frustration spill out. But Garrett isn't alone. Behind the scenes, more players are reportedly questioning the direction of the team. Analysts close to the organization say the mood has shifted from concern to open disbelief. Many can't understand why the staff keeps insisting on Dillon Gabriel despite weeks of underperforming. Others wonder why Shedeur Sanders, who teammates have praised for his accuracy in practice, is still stuck on the sideline while the team sinks deeper into chaos. The tension has even sparked debates among the coaching staff, according to several insiders. Some believe giving Shedeur a chance could energize the locker room and calm the fan base. Others fear that making the switch now would be seen as a desperate attempt to win back angry supporters. Either way, the indecision has only added to the confusion inside the locker room. What was once a united roster now feels split into factions. Those defending the current plan, those begging for change, and those simply exhausted by the drama. And when players start questioning the leadership in front of cameras, you know the problems behind closed doors are twice as serious. The Browns aren't just dealing with a losing streak. They're battling an identity crisis. And unless something changes soon, these fractures could turn into a complete collapse from the inside out. The Browns aren't just fighting through a rough stretch. They're standing at a crossroads that could redefine the franchise for years. Every decision the front office makes now carries weight, and the pressure is growing heavier by the day. This isn't just about who starts at quarterback anymore. It's about the message the organization sends to its players, its fan base, and even the league. Right now, the Browns' identity is blurred. On one side, the team insists they're focused on rebuilding and patience. On the other, the product on the field says something entirely different. Fans who once filled the stadium with hope are now making their stance clear. They won't invest emotionally or financially in a team that refuses to adapt. Empty seats and plummeting ticket prices are no longer warning signs. They're consequences. And yet, the biggest question the Browns refuse to answer keeps staring them in the face. Why? Is Shedeur Sanders still not playing? Coaches claim it's about development, but analysts and fans see something else. With each passing week, that decision looks less like strategy and more like stubbornness. Reports suggest there's fear behind the scenes. Fear that making the switch now would expose the coaching staff for waiting too long. Or fear that admitting the obvious could spark even more internal conflict. But here's the problem. Avoiding the issue is making everything worse. The longer the team hesitates, the more they risk losing something far more valuable than a single season. They're risking trust. They're risking their locker room. And they're risking the patience of a fan base already pushed to the edge. the coaching staff's future is also hanging in the balance. Insiders say that if the Browns continue down this path, empty stadiums, frustrated players, constant losses, jobs will be at stake. Even within the organization, whispers have started. If a change isn't made soon, someone higher up might force the issue. The direction the Browns choose next will define everything. Bring in Shedeur, and they might spark a comeback, not just in performance, but in belief. Stay the current course, and the unraveling we're seeing now could turn into a full-scale collapse. At this point, the Cleveland Browns aren't just dealing with on-field struggles. They're staring down a moment that could define the next era of the franchise. Everything we've seen over the past few weeks points to a team that's losing not only games, but clarity, confidence, and control. You can feel it in the locker room, you can hear it in the interviews, and you can see it in the stands. A storm is forming, and everyone connected to this organization knows it. Right now, the Browns are trapped between what they expected this season to be and what it has actually become. That gap is widening every week, and the pressure is reaching a breaking point. At the center of it all stands one defining decision: the quarterback position. Whether the front office wants to admit it or not, the fan base has made its stance clear. Analysts have made their stance clear. Even players, quietly, have made their stance clear. The Browns need a spark, and every sign points to Shedeur Sanders being the one capable of providing it. But hesitation is killing them. Every game they wait, every press conference filled with vague promises, every attempt to stay the course only deepens the frustration surrounding the team. What's at stake now goes far beyond a single season's record. We're talking about credibility. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about the willingness to adapt when the plan clearly isn't working. Because here's the reality: franchises don't collapse overnight. They crumble slowly. Through stubbornness, miscommunication, and failure to adjust. The Browns are dangerously close to entering that territory, and they know it. This next move, whether they elevate Shedeur or continue to ride out the current path, will determine the narrative for months, maybe years. Make the shift and they give themselves a chance to rewrite this season. Stay stagnant and they risk losing the locker room, the fan base, and possibly members of the coaching staff. The Browns have reached a pivot point. What they choose next will reveal everything about who they are and who they want to become.